That's like been on telly. Did you see that? That's slightly remixed intro sequence. And Botar Produtores. Very good, Deagle. That's learning Portuguese every day is paying off there. And your tomatoes look up to much. That's a bit rude in Portuguese, I have to say. But my tomatoes starting to redden after last week's bumper heat sunshine. Yeah, look that up in your Portuguese vocabulary book. Anyway, enough of that. Let's check in with the team. How's everybody doing? How are you doing, Anna, in Devon?
Yeah, doing good. Just about managing. It's cool. Well, I say it's gradually cooling down a bit. 25 at the moment, but it's been up in the 30s over the weekend. So yeah, had a little bit of a spell on the beach yesterday, only as far as a paddle, and yeah, just trying to keep cool. Had a couple of ice lollies and that sort of thing. So yeah, just finding as much shade as I can, and well, doing very little when it gets hot, really. So yeah, but otherwise busy and
for you.
Yes.
Classic seaside fun in the UK. Sounds great. And it sounds like the temperature's holding up as well. Although you might have thunderstorms and it might be going from drought to flooding. Is that right?
I think possibly, yes. Tuesday or Wednesday, I think, is the possible thunderstorms on the way. I'm not quite sure of the actual day, but they're saying Tuesday or Wednesday. And every time I check my weather apps, it's saying partially sunny. So I've got no idea what day it will be. But yes.
Oh, you just got to go with that flow, haven't you? Go with that flow. Cheers, Anna. How about you, John? Just down the road from Anna in Devon?
Yes, indeed. I'm finding it a bit too hot, to be honest. So yeah, what we've been like going for the daily walk in the morning time when it's not too hot, and yeah, trying to sort of appreciate it, but also like it's just too much for me personally. Yes. But yeah. It's been lots of sweating. I mean, bits, yeah.
But for you, it's get out and glow, right? Get out and glow rather than get out and grow, really.
Yeah, been sweating a bit like Richard Nixon in a David Frost interview, to be honest.
Very good. Excellent historical and political reference there, John.
Yes.
American.
But anyway, yeah, it's hopefully it'll cool down a bit. I just wish we could have the rain without the thunder, to be honest. But
you're not a fan.
Can't have everything.
No, fair enough. Okay, mate. Well, good luck. Fingers crossed for that, for flood alert Britain, perhaps there. Because I know in 76, and Lee will remember this, but only just, possibly, the drought. Well, I do. The drought of 76. What apparently as that went on.
I was 2.
All right, I was only 10 or something like that. 11, I think. Yeah, 11. And as the as the summer got hotter and drier. I mean, even at 2, you're going to remember something like that when your nappy's dehydrated or whatever it was, Lee, at the time. They appointed a minister for the drought. And by the end of the week, he became the minister for flooding because the weather changed drastically. And of course, after a drought, all the rain that comes from the sky tends to run off, doesn't it? It doesn't soak into the ground in the way that you might hope for. So he had a complete polar opposite job by the end of the week. Lee McGrady, how are you? 2 years of age in the summer of 1976.
Yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm enjoying the weekend. I've had a lot. It's a bank holiday in Lisbon today, and I decided to take the day off.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you. It is the Assumption of the Virgin Mary today, isn't it?
I had no idea about that. I just knew it was bank holiday, so I decided to have a long weekend.
Right down to earth, as you would expect from a head gardener Lee McGrady here. And howdy, gardening gurus. Our leader, Lee McGrady, the most guru-esque of the gardening gurus on tonight. And Thunder is asking, is it true that Lee successfully cloned himself? It is, isn't it? It is true.
Yes. I just have to think then. I'm still a bit of a zombie at the moment. I'm not getting everything's going over my head at the moment.
Okay, I will make it clear when it's a question next time. All right, we'll start those with question for Lee now, just to help with that. Yeah, okay. I think it's proof that he has successfully cloned himself, Thunderduck. That he's a bit tired.
3 times.
3 times what? That
I've cloned myself 3 times.
Very good, very good. You're your very own research station, aren't you? Excellent stuff. Stephen's in as well. Fantastic to see you, Stephen. And Botard, of course, from Deagle, as mentioned earlier on. And we'll come back to your tomato inquiry, Deagle, in a little while. Paul, Louise, Lottie, Louise, great to have you here. You missed the show last week. We missed you too. Simon's in, Simon Fiona, Sci-Fi. Good evening, all. How you doing, mate? Hello from sunny Winchester. Who is this, do we think? Facebook user in Winchester. What's your guess there, John? Any clues? No? Okay.
No, I'm not sure, to be honest.
Right. Okay, Winchester. Who do we know in Winchester? Butardo from Phil Ruff. Great to have you here. I have a sunflower over 9 feet. That's nearly as tall as Phil Ruff, that is. And I think we've got a picture of that to come. Not sure what that means. Oh, yes, sweating like Richard Nixon, but not Prince Andrew. Very topical. Well done. John, drip the sweat on the garden. Don't waste that water. Your neighbours might thank you for that. How about that? And look at this. People remembering the summer of 76. I don't know how it was in California, but T-Duck was in high school. How about that? And John, do you want to voice this?
So if you forgot to let Anna know about your question or have only just thought of one, let us know here in either the YouTube comments or the Facebook ones.
Very good. Cheers, John. A question for Lee. We'll come back to that. Is it a good idea to fork the lawn steady on to help it soak in? Well, that's a great question. We will come back to that. Been beautiful weather. Just had to adjust our routines to do more in the morning. Yes, that's what you got to do right when it gets hot. Garden fiesta, siesta in the afternoon, and lovely outings in the evenings. Yes, you've adapted perfectly. Well done. And it's Jazz, Jason in Winchester over there in the UK for the time being. Okay, nice to have you here. Looking forward to. I bet your place has changed a lot again, Jason. Be lovely to have a third tour of your plot at some point. I'm sure you've got many great advancements to share with us. So, Anna, can we go to the first question, please?
There we go. Yes, I'll start with one from Penny. She's got a question on cypress trees. They're in very large terracotta pots, but one of them is dying and doesn't know why. Any suggestions?
Is it cypress trees or citrus trees?
It says cypress.
Oh, okay. There could be a few reasons. The cypress trees don't particularly like to be in containers to start with. They tend to form a heavy root ball, but all on the surface. So they don't get a deep tap root. They like to be surface rooted trees, which is why you see them blow over so easily in the winds. So the heat really does affect them. Now, terracotta are the best pots for them to be in, but they need to be in overly sized terracotta pots. They do need regular water, and they're going to need a feed as well. They should really be fed at the start of the summer and at the end of the summer. So now is probably not the best time to feed them. The other problem you get with them as well is wind damage. Cypress trees like to be in, they like to be packed in together naturally. They like to be closely planted, and that gives them protection from strong winds. When they're in containers, in individual containers, they can suffer with something called windburn, which looks like they're dying, but technically they are dying. It burns off sections of it, but it doesn't actually kill the tree. So you can end up with sort of a half and half dead, half alive. And that can be caused by warm winds, not so much strong winds, but a warm wind will burn off the side of a cypress tree quite easily. I mean, like over the space of a day.
Wow, it's fun.
So,
okay.
Yeah. Oh, it happens really quickly. I've seen some where they've been moved in containers, where they've gone from a sheltered spot and they've moved them into an open spot, and a day later they're sort of half brown. It happens really quickly. Okay. They don't really suffer from any pest or disease. Nothing really that would do it sort of that sort of damage. So I'm suspecting it's possibly a lack of water or a container. Even though you say it's large, they need to be really oversized because the root development on them are massive. And again, they're all very shallow rooted. So all the root is kind of at the top. Like the working root is at the top. And if you can imagine, that gets really compact and it stops the water from flowing deep, and it stops it takes all the nutrients from one level of the container. So maybe potting it on would be a good idea. And moving it out of direct sunlight as well, moving it into the shade where it's not getting so much heat and wind. Okay, if it's possible to move it.
Nice one, Lee. They're very pretty, aren't they? I mean, you can see why people want them in the garden. They've got attractive foliage, haven't they? Any other benefits?
There's loads of varieties of them. There's loads of different species and subspecies of them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I quite like them as standalone specialist plants and species plants. But as a hedge, I'm not a big keen fan of them.
Okay, all right. Good. Thank you for that, Anna. Thank you, Penny. And you did say there, Lee, is it cypress or citrus? Seems quite a good moment to shoehorn in a question that's come straight in tonight from Phil and Maria. What's wrong with these citrus trees? I don't know if you can see that, Lee, very well. That's one view. And
no, I can just see you. I've got no image on the screen, Cal. Oh, there you go. Okay. Yeah, I can see it now.
Okay. What's wrong with this citrus plant? And then Phil goes on to say, after that, what's wrong with this citrus plant? And these, they have blossoms. We're hoping for some yummy citrus in the next few months, but they're very curly and very brown and kind of variegated, but not in a good way, Lee.
Leaf curl is a major problem here in Portugal, and that's a definite leaf curl. It could either be a mildew or it could be a lack of feed. I've given our citrus trees a feed 4 weeks ago. I think it was iron and potassium that I used on the last feed, because I rotate my feeds so they're not getting not damaging the soil so much. But I suspect that might be the same. It's just flowered. It's just starting to produce its fruits. So all its energy is going towards that, which leaves it vulnerable to leaf curl and mildew and fungus. So give it a nice feed. If you go to your local cooperative store and explain how many trees you've got, and they'll give you the right size bags. Dead cheap. I got 2 massive bags of different sorts of feed. I think it was potassium and iron I did last feed, and it cost like €35, and I'm able to do maybe 150 trees with that.
Oh, nice.
So
okay.
it's really cheap. Yeah. And take the photo as well, because in your region it might be a different soil type than mine. It might be a different climate problem.
Yeah.
So take the photographs as well. But I suspect it's in need of a good feed.
Yes.
Also check the bark as well this time of year. The bark on the trees, that's always a good indicator. If it's starting to peel, or if it's starting to look really dry, then that's also an indication that it needs a feed.
Okay.
So take a photo of the main trunk and the bark when you go into the store, and the guys will help you out, no problem.
Brilliant. And I know where they live, and Agrilogia I would recommend. There's one in both Caldas de Rainha and also Alcobaça, and they're very helpful in that particular gardening cooperative. Cheers, Phil and Maria. Great question.
I'm still trying to get my head around citrus trees. Obviously, coming from an English gardener moving here, and I found them really helpful at my local cooperative. They've taught me a lot. They've gone through it. They've been really patient with me, and they've never really tried to rip me off, which is a great indication of a good store. They've always been very helpful. Yeah,
that's good to know. Well, sorry, Anna. Before we go to the next question, another one's come in connected. So let's go with this. Do they have a product here called Ironite in Portugal? I've used that here in the US for yellowing citrus leaves. So I don't think that's Jason. But have you seen Ironite in Portugal?
I've seen a variety of it. You can get Ironite in England. We use it a lot on the plum trees. And yeah, it's exactly the same as what I've just been talking about.
Yeah.
It comes in a granular feed or a liquid form. The granular is much cheaper and just as easy to apply. So go for the granular.
Nice one. Okay, there you go. Thank you very much. That's all there for you, Maria and Phil, in near Caldas de Rainha here in Portugal. People tuned in from all over the world by the sound of it tonight. United States, UK, and Portugal at the very least. And we might have Eric from Mexico joining us tonight as well. It's always nice when that happens. And we have Aussies as well, don't we, from time to time? Anna, next question.
Yeah, we've got one from I'm not sure where about Heather is, but Heather Sinclair asks, we have so many cockatoos pulling branches of about 8 inches or so from the lemon trees and many other trees. Even the other trees have lemons pulled off them and beak marks pecked into the lemons, wasting them. Any ideas would be most helpful? I think that was I did try to check if it was how to stop the cockatoos or save the lemons. So I'm not quite sure which particular part of the question's needing help with.
I've never come across the parakeets. The ones we have here are the ringneck parakeets.
Mhm.
They're quite invasive in this part of Portugal, so I imagine it's the same where you are. Never come across them damaging the fruit trees though. So there are a couple of options. You can get the big decoy owls and falcons. They work for a short period of time, which might give you enough time for the fruits to develop far enough to stop the birds from bothering them. The other way to do it is, if you want a limited number of trees, is to net them. The net is quite cheap and simple to apply this time of year. A lot of people back in the UK as bird deterrents use old CDs on a piece of string, and you hang them from the inner branches, and as the light hits them, it sends out flashes which the smaller birds don't like. But I'd first go and have a look at the tree and see what the bird's trying to get, and I suspect they'd actually be after insects or something rather than the actual stems and fruit.
Yeah.
So maybe have a closer look at the bugs on the trees and see if it's like got an ant infestation or you've got lots of green fly on. And if that's the case, soapy water mixed through a spray can will do it, and then a good jet wash always really knocks the insects back a bit.
Yes.
It works, yeah. I've seen people doing it and thought, I wonder what they're doing, and apparently they've applied an insecticide, then they go at it a few days later with a jet wash.
Very good. And what a brilliant insight that. So they might not be purposefully trying to get what you think they're trying to get. They might be in there getting insect life instead.
Yeah, I imagine so. Because taking the fresh shoots off a lemon tree seems, well, there's no food point. They're not doing it for food.
Yeah.
There's no nutrients. They're not going to eat the lemon leaf. I can't imagine they would do.
Okay.
So
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they're just naughty. They're just naughty. So
while we're on the
bird
subject,
betting.
yeah, while we're on the subject, Lee, and did you say OTD? Was it OTD, the product you mentioned that spins and sends out light?
No, an old CD. Do you know the old?
An old CD. Yes,
disc,
indeed.
Yeah, CD disc. Yeah.
There you go. Lee string CDs on string also used, and we've done that in the Algarve, and it is quite frightening when it starts flashing, because we've got those in our garden because we've got a sparrow gang now, Lee. Our garden's gone from being a barren kind of forgotten wasteland of ceramic tiles into a very vibrant and natural place of snakes, butterflies, moths, mosquitoes, and bird life, and wasps and bees and all sorts. And this sparrow gang are really bold, and they come into the chicken coop, and the chickens get really distressed and make a lot of noise. So we've put a string of CDs up, but they're over it now. I think they figured it out.
Yeah,
and
it only works for a limited period of time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because they get used to it. Don't they?
My mate Carl, who you spoke to, he bought a decoy owl to stop them from going into his outdoor kitchen and roosting there, because they were pooing all over the furniture. And the day after he bought it, there was a bird sat on the owl's head.
Excellent, pooing on the owl's head. That's
so yeah, it doesn't always work.
No, but he's got a nice ornament, hasn't he? He's got a lovely ornament of an owl for his outdoor kitchen. Then, what a fantastic story! Thank you very much for that. Sorry, Anna, back to you. Or John, you had an insight, I think, on the bird question. Did you
John muted?
Yes, sorry, I was just wondering if with the birds, could it be that they're both helping and harming the fruit trees because they're eating the insects, but they manage to damage the fruit while trying to eat the insects. So they're by eating the insects, they're actually making the insect problem a smaller problem than it could be without the birds.
Yep, good.
Yeah, I would definitely look. Like I say, it's not something I've come across before. It's not been mentioned to me before, but it's definitely worth checking for insects first, just in case it's a secondary issue rather than trying to damage the fruit trees. They're actually looking for bugs and grubs.
Superb. Yeah. Okay, nice thought, John. Anna, was that everything for Heather?
It was, yes. Yeah.
And you get extra points, don't you? If you ask a question on Get Out and Grow and your name is a plant, you get extra points. So well done, Heather.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, back to you, Anna.
We've got one from Peter, and he says one thing that might have been asked before: has anyone ever bought a hose connection in Portugal that doesn't leak? I've tried dozens, from the cheapest plastic to the expensive brass ones, and every one of them leaks.
What a great question!
It is a great question because it's Portugal. It is. The way I found to get around it is to buy a better tap. A lot of the taps the original taps here in Portugal with a threaded tap end, the really short threads on them, so your hose connector doesn't really go all the way over.
Yeah.
Now you can use PTF tape, like the plumber's tape.
Yeah.
You can use that for better connection, but it doesn't last very long. So I've slowly swapped out the taps in our garden and put taps on with a bigger thread.
Okay.
So I can get a bigger connection onto it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they just do. Yeah. The ones I really like are the copper ones, but they retail just under €10 a piece.
Yes.
The plastic ones are like 87 cents. So it's a big expense, especially when you've got 7 or 8 taps like we do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and if you get a chingados, people buy them from the Chinese shops, don't they? They're not gonna last, are they?
Well, the ones I actually like are the ones that are from Aldi. Aldi have a great hose pipe connection set, and they have a great sprinkler handle set. Now I know sprinkler handles are only going to last a year because they get bashed and boshed around. You leave them on the end of the hose pipe when you wind them in. You swing. The kids play with them. So I'm not for spending a lot of money on hose pipe sprinklers. So I prefer to buy cheap and replace regular. But definitely look at refitting your tap rather than struggling and wasting water.
Nice,
because it is so expensive. Yeah.
Great question, Peter. Did Peter have something else there as well, Anna?
I don't think so. He just said he's tried dozens from the plastic to the brass ones, but yes, they all seem to leak. But I think yes.
I think that's a really good insight from Lee there, isn't it? On the shallowness of the thread, which is something I'd never thought of. Yeah,
it's a problem I've come across a few times. Yeah, as you can imagine.
Thank you, Peter. Is Peter a regular? I don't think Peter's asked anything before, but it's great to have you ask that question of us and a Portugal specific question there. Excellent stuff. I think we've got a strawberry inquiry now, haven't we?
Yes. Let me have
I've got a few photos to show here of this one.
Yes, this one is from Katie. Yes, 8 strawberry plants planted as starts in February, March. Stunted growth with a couple of deformed. It says white, wizen brown fruits. Yes, sent some photos. What remedies are recommended, please?
Yeah,
has it been a bad year for strawberries? Our strawberries have been rubbish this year, Lee.
Our strawberries have been amazing this year, and they started producing really early this year, and they've produced all the way through. Maybe not as many as last year, but definitely better quality and a steadier stream of them. Where last year we had a bumper crop early and then a great crop late. This year we seem to have that slow spread of regular produced strawberries, and I prefer it that way, to be honest, because I'm not wasting fruit. But this is a really common problem.
Okay.
Expecting your strawberries to produce in the first year is it's unrealistic. Yeah, it's optimistic. Yeah, that's probably a better word. And they do enjoy to be cut back. When you start getting the deformed leaves or the browning leaves, snip them off right away. When you start getting the tall shoots with the flower head on it, which is really not what you want. That's like a throwback to a natural, a wild strawberry. You want to snip them shoots off straight away.
Okay.
When you get the dividing shoots coming out early in the year, so it's divided into a second plant. On your first and probably second year, you want to snip them off as well and get rid of them, because you want the plant to retain as much energy as possible to produce a good rootstock, which will give you a longer life with that individual plant.
So while you might
so-
think to yourself, "Wait, that's brilliant! I'm getting loads of extra plants," you want to keep the energy in centrally.
Especially in the first 1 and maybe 2 years, depending on how they go and how much you give them manure and how much you're going to feed them.
Okay.
I've never expected first year plants to produce at all, and I tend to just snip off the flower heads when they start, just because I know it's not going to be a great strawberry.
Right.
People will disagree because it all depends on your soil quality and the amount of effort you put into growing them.
Yeah.
But to me, strawberries are sort of put them in there and forget about them till they produce.
Yes. Okay.
But they do enjoy feeding as well. They enjoy manure feed. So even like a cheap basic compost, if you buy a big bag, leave it near strawberries, and every few days when you're passing, just put an handful around the plant, let it soak in.
Yeah.
That'll do them wonderfully as well.
Okay.
So just be patient with them. Pick off as soon as you see anything that's going wrong, anything deforming, just snip it off, pick it off with your fingertips, and let it put its energy into its rootstock for this first year, and it'll provide great strawberries next year.
There you go, Katie, who I think has tuned in now because Katie has sent us a picture of an alternative to the CD-based scaring. John, what do you think would be the best music to have on the CDs for scaring birds? I'll let your excellent mind consider that for a moment. Maybe heavy metal, or something really threatening on the track there. Thank you for this picture as well that you've sent us, Katie, which I'll put up in a little while. Glad to have you here this evening. Cucumber peel in water as potassium and magnesium fertilizer. This is Katie. What's this? Katie Brown. I'm here. Utter rubbish. Well, I don't think Lee minds a little bit of disagreement, but we need to know what about, don't we? We can't just have utter rubbish. We need to know what that's aimed at there. Unless she's talking about fittings, she might be talking about hose pipe fittings, and not the advice you were giving there.
I don't think I've given any bad advice yet tonight. I'm still fairly sober.
We'll see. Banana peel will provide potassium. Also try cucumber peel, says Louise, in water for PHO. Potato water as well, high in potassium. Lots of lovely tips. Thank you, Louise and Fiona there. And Katie saying, thank you, Lee. I'm the impatient gardener. That's a great name for your blog, I think, Katie, if you write one. I think utter rubbish is aimed at the strawberries, not at you. Yes, my strawberries are utter. You got to be careful just putting utter rubbish in the track, Katie. You could have really upset the man.
They're not utter rubbish. They just got to be patient and give them a year. Gardening is all about preparing for this year for next year and just letting it happen itself, and you can't force it to grow. So
there you go. Can't force nature. John, I think you've already got a suggestion, as has Deagle here. What's going to be on your CDs for the bird scarers?
I was thinking "Bat Out of Hell" by Meatloaf because it's a very good song.
See, that just encouraged me because I love that song.
Bats are going to come out of hell when they're by the trees. They're probably going to be a bit scared.
Well, Cat, thank you for that, John. Cat Stevens on the CD as well, very good.
Run to the Hills by Iron Maiden.
What was that? Run for the Hills. Yes.
Run to the Hills by Iron Maiden as well.
Yeah, that's right. Get out of here, you little cockatoos. Banana peel, good for roses. Throw it directly under the roses. No need to dig it in or soak it. I'm just seeing people slipping over in your rose bed there, Louise. But thank you for that. Anna, is that everything for this evening so far?
I'm just trying to work out who sent in the question, which is, do they have a product called Ionite in Portugal? I've used it here in the US.
We've covered that, Anna.
Yeah, we've done that one. Yeah, nice one. Yeah, good to know. Another question from Phil. Does anyone know where to find a resource for native plants in Portugal? This comes up from time to time, doesn't it? What do you mean by a resource? For buying them or for information about them? What might he be talking about, Lee?
I presume you mean buying them. There are a lot of resources for growing periods and temperatures in Portugal online. You can find them just by typing in your area. But one of my favourite stores to use is it's called VI Plants. It's a national store. They're all over Portugal. And if they haven't got it in stock, if you speak nicely to them, they can pretty much always find it or point you in the right direction of a nursery. They've been really helpful with me. Again, if I've not been able to find a plant, they've pointed me in the right direction.
The name of
VI Plants. Yeah.
VIP. They're easy enough to remember.
VIP. Yeah.
There you go, Phil. Right, I'm going to show a video now. This is a little tour of Deagle's garden in 1 minute.
Does that mean I can top my beer up?
You can top your beer up now, and I'll send you the video to watch at your leisure. Here we go. Make sure you're back in 1 minute. That's a fantastic garden, Deagle. Thank you so much. Yeah, look at you. Look at that. You're one of the, that may be the 9-footer, but that is such a beautiful specimen as well. The sparrow gang that I mentioned and friends have taken all our sunflower seeds, I think. We're thinking of just chucking the end of the sunflower head into the chickens and letting them have the rest of it. Would you think that's a good idea, Lee?
Oh, definitely. Sunflower seeds are absolutely brilliant for wildlife, for birds. Yeah. I like to shake them onto the ground, especially in the wildflower bed that we have. Because they just sit in the ground and either birds pick them up or they regenerate next year. Yeah,
and it's lovely, isn't it? Because you see a pile of husks underneath the sunflower plant where the birds with their little beaks really get good at, humans like. I know in Portugal you get salted sunflower seeds, can't you? You can nibble on while you're having a beer. The birds are just experts at it. They just give it one nip thing and release the seed.
The only time I really see the finches here in Portugal are around the sunflowers. You tend to, like in England, you'll see a finch on every country lane. You'll see them in most gardens. They're few and far between here, but if you've got a good group of sunflowers, this time of year, they're all over them. Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic. And that's a beautiful picture with the bee there collecting a bit of pollen there, Deagle, or Beagle, we'll call you there. Okay, let's go to that water question, because there was one about hosepipe bans, wasn't there? And you put a great article in the group, our Facebook group, Get Out and Grow, about how to water without hosepipe bans. I think you had a question or sort of some general pointers, Anna, about hosepipes and water shortages at the moment.
Yeah, I saw a question just come in actually on water from Stephen, who was saying, is it a good time to fork the lawn before rain to help it soak in?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, nice one.
It really is. Your lawn, you can always tell a well cared for lawn when you get these sort of situations where you've got a warm period or a hot period. But a lawn that's been well maintained, where they've removed the thatch, they've hollow tined it and solid tined it at the right time of year. They'll be using much less water on the sprinkler systems than a garden that's just been left and has got a compacted soil. So any kind of care, a heavy rake, going through the wire rake to get rid of all the thatch, which is the dead grasses and the bits of moss that lay on the soil surface.
Yeah.
So you're clearing all them off, so you've got exposed soils. And then going in with a pitchfork. Remember not to go too deep, because you don't need to dig into the subsoils. All you need to do is a few inches, just 2 or 3 inches maximum. Just so you're breaking up the surface tension where the sun's baked it. And it really will allow a lot of water to run in and get beneath that baked surface. Yeah.
Good shout, Stephen. Thank you for asking that. Any other observations, Lee?
A lot of people are going to be struggling now, especially in Great Britain and here in Portugal. We really struggle because there's so much concrete, there's so many drives, there's so many block paved gardens where the grass has been removed completely. So there's no natural soakaway, and all that water ends up running onto the street, and then it all runs into the drains, then it all hits the rivers, and the rivers can't accept that much water, so they blow the banks. So a decline in lawns in England is part of the reason why we get such regular flooding events now. If you think about when you were a kid everyone on my street used to have a lawn, and now
Yes.
on my parents' street, now they've all got a driveway in that place. So we've lost an acre of ground on our street of natural soakaway. So all that water runs directly now into the street, into the drains, and multiply that by every street in Great Britain, and that's your problem, you know.
Yeah, because John, you brought our attention, didn't you, to that campaign? Was it one of the lobbying organisations in the UK? Lift a flag, raise a flag. That was it, wasn't it? So that the ground underneath could be seen. Yeah,
it really makes a massive difference. And working for the local government, like at the time, they were accepting every driveway application that was put in. They didn't say no to any of it. And we were warning them then in the early 90s that it's a mistake. Yeah. You know, we're getting rid of so many gardens, so many plants, so many trees. Yeah. And nobody cared because they didn't want cars parked on the street. They wanted them off the road.
Okay. Fascinating. Fascinating. Okay. Well, fresh in from Wales, is this solution for keeping or dealing with the drought situation? I don't know what you think of this, but I'll play you this as a bit of a public information offering this evening. And if
I also know what it's going to be.
This is Clyde from the South Wales valleys. Every hour, on the hour, he's been filling up a bucket of water from his kitchen sink, putting it in the boot of his car and driving up to the local reservoir. He wants to make sure that it stays replenished and there's plenty of water for everyone. So far, he's filled up and deposited over 120 buckets of tap water into the reservoir, and believes if every single household in Wales did the same, then Welsh Water wouldn't have to impose a hosepipe ban in his village. He's urging all his friends and family to do the bucket challenge.
The bucket challenge of a different kind there.
My problem with that is that some people don't actually believe it. Unfortunately, some people are going to believe that and think it's a good idea.
It had to be shown, didn't it? Some praise coming in for your garden, Deagle. Your garden looks wonderful. It's lovely what you've done with that space. It's fantastic. And Deagle, what's happening there? Beautiful garden, says Simon as well. Dead Kennedys, another suggestion for the music on the CDs there. That's been a nice little detour this evening. And thanks to the Minister, says Deagle, of Home Affairs, I will spend 10 months outside mid-December, mid-February, one inside. So mid-December to mid-February inside, and once the main cold is gone, the shorts come on, don't they? And you're outside enjoying what you call the office, which is your garden there. Don't know if you noticed the Belfast sink with water plants, 3 small goldfish in it. That's our other weed. We did. We've seen the lovely video of that and the little fish darting about. Bucket challenge, indeed. And water features make a perfect complement in the garden. They so do.
I've been considering to doing the same. I used to have a Belfast sink tier system in my second garden I've ever had. So I had 3 Belfast sinks, and one of them had a drainer on it, and the water would run through. And I had pond plants in them. I didn't put any fish in. I just had the newts and the frogs that came naturally. But I keep seeing the old washing draining sinks that they have here in Portugal.
That's right. Yeah. With the
I'm determined to find a use for one of them. I've got 3 pots. No, well, when I've been clearing gardens, it's one of the first things people want rid of.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've got 3 put aside. At first, I thought they might be worth some money, but they're not. Even good condition ones that aren't worth anything. So I've got 3 put aside now, and I'm determined to find a use for them.
Very good.
So if anyone has any ideas, send them to me.
It's a good challenge. Yeah. Okay, some quickies in the last couple of minutes. When's the best time to pull up beetroots? If I can put something in with that, what's the best time to eat a globe artichoke? Looks like that from the top, looks like this from the side. Has it gone too far whilst it's flowering? Can we not eat that anymore?
No, that's absolutely perfect.
Is it? Okay, all right.
Yeah. Although this isn't a cooking program, but yeah, that's the perfect time. A lot of people, I don't like the gold artichokes when they're too hard, when they're like rocks.
Yeah.
And the flowers themselves are actually edible as part of your salad diet. So,
okay, excellent stuff. Yeah. All right. Well, I won't mention my tomato sandwich serving suggestion because it's not a food program. But look at that. I really enjoyed that. It's like a steak. It's eating a tomato steak between 2 bits of toast and some rock salt. That was beautiful. First fig from the garden today off a fig tree in a pot. So lovely to have that. And pulling up beetroots. What's the best time for that?
We just go back to the beetroot. Yeah, as soon as as soon as the stem starts to bend over, is when I take them out because I like to keep the routine of planting new plants in the same space.
Oh, yeah.
But a lot of people, you can leave them in a long time. You can leave beetroot in for ages. So if you planted 10 at the same time, you can harvest, start at one end and work your way through them. So you can technically, you can leave them in right up until like Christmas time. But they are really easy to store as well. So if you want the space, you can take them out, string them up, hang them somewhere, and they'll store quite easily for a long period. But it's very similar to the onions. Wait till the outer skin starts to go crispy on the top, and they're exposed. And they've got to the size that you want because they will sit there for a long time.
Good to know. Lots of extra added value about beetroots there from Lee McGrady. And that'll be it for tonight. We'll see you again next week. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, John. Thank you very much, Head Gardener Lee McGrady. Lots of love to Lee. Ciao, ciao. Bye for now. Thank you, everybody, for your wonderful questions. See you next week. Bye.